Hi there, everybody. It's Dr. V, and I am back with a weekly twin flame, soulmate, divine energy, divine partnership reading. I apologize for this being a little bit late. I was actually traveling this week and just literally got back about an hour ago from a 4-day trip, so wanted to get this posted tonight, and I'll do the rest of the videos tomorrow. So this is the energies for the week of excuse me, March 12th through whatever next Sunday is. Forgive me, I'm a little bit off today. I guess that'll be the 19th. So I'm going to be doing a pretty big spread here. It's similar to the one I did last week. And it's got 18 cards. So this could be fun. To begin with, I'm using the Divine Feminine and Divine Feminine and Masculine Reunited by Christabel Jessica. Gorgeous cards. I love them. Cool. So I'm done shuffling. I've already shuffled and cleansed the energy, but I'm going to go ahead and, do it again because why the heck not? So I'm using a spread that I have modified. So I'm going to just jump right in. Number 1 card is the situation. The card that came up is a physical ailment. So don't worry, I'm going to jump into the clarification here shortly. Number 2 is the Divine Feminine in the partnership. And we got the Kuan Yin card. Number 3 is the Divine Masculine in the partnership. And we got the energy card. I may have to move this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to make a little bit of an adjustment to my space really quick. Okay. The number 4 is where does the partnership come from? That's interesting. Codependence. Number 5, where is the partnership going? Freya, goddess of sensuality. Number 6 card is, what are the Divine Feminine's expectations? To surrender. Number 7, what are the Divine Feminine's fears? Inner child. 8, what is the Divine Feminine contributing to the partnership? Abandonment. And then next card is, what does the Divine Feminine lack in the partnership, and what is she not giving enough of? And then we got the god Ganesha, god of obstruction. Don't worry, I'll get to the interpretation in just a minute. So, what are the expectations of the Divine Masculine? Boundaries. What are the fears of the Divine Masculine? Grief and anger. What does the Divine Masculine contribute to the partnership? Balance. And what is the Divine Masculine lacking in the partnership, and what is he not contributing? Strength. Cool. It's a powerful spread. I'm going to be using the Angel Love cards and the Romance Angels by Doreen Virtue to do some clarifications on some of the questions that might be, or some of the issues that might be coming up. So the first, the analysis of this relationship, the situation as it stands right now. It's physical ailment, which is interesting to me because, well, for a number of reasons, but I've been really contemplating lately about how many people have physical illnesses and ailments that are really somatic. That means that they are, it's really a lot of emotional stuff that shows up in physical issues. So if you or your divine counterpart are having physical illnesses, it's more than likely. I mean, of course, I'm not that kind of a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not giving any medical advice, but I would encourage you, if you're having issues, to go, either one of you, and you're in connection, to look up Louise Hay's work, or any work that you can find on the metaphysical cause of illness, because oftentimes it can tell you what's going on underneath the surface that you're not aware of, and why this particular physical ailment is showing up. So I know, for instance, that sometimes having strep throat, I think it's strep throat or like sore throats, is about fear of speaking. So if one of you has recurrent issues with sore throats, that's something to look at. Sometimes headaches can be a symptom of a blocked crown chakra. So if you or your partner are having physical illnesses, it would be, I really feel like that's part of what's contributing to some of the blocks in the relationship right now, is the unprocessed, unconscious material. Because any unconscious material, any emotional stuff that we try and repress, it always comes out. And sometimes it comes out in physical ailments. And so that can be a block, that can be a hindrance to the relationship, and it can be something that's keeping you apart. You know, if you have a partner, or you have a chronic physical illness, and I'm not, again, please don't hear me saying that it's not real, because certainly there are illnesses that are real. I'm saying just look at the spiritual causes. Look to see if there's anything that you might be able to heal spiritually, that might help the physical symptoms, because that may be part of what's keeping you blocked. So that's interesting that came up, but that's what I'm just going to roll with it. So the divine feminine in the partnership was Kuan Yin, goddess of nurturing. So the feminine energy is really nurturing right now. So you may be feeling that mothering energy. You may feel like you just want to nurture and take care of your divine partner. Again, divine feminine can be male, divine masculine can be female. You know, it's energy, not gender. So there's this real nurturing aspect of the divine feminine, which of course, because the divine feminine is the nurturing. It is about bringing life into the world, and gentleness and receptivity. So that is who the divine feminine is currently in the relationship. Very nurturing energy. And I get the sense it's really directed outward right now, that it's really directed toward the divine masculine in many ways. Which is great, but I also want to encourage you to make sure that you're nurturing yourself too, that you're taking care of your own needs, and that you're acknowledging your own, nurturing yourself, taking salt baths, eating healthy, getting sleep when you need it, doing all the things that you need to do to take care of your soul in this process, because you're also as important as anybody else in this journey. So it's really important to make sure you're taking care of yourself. And so who is the divine masculine in the partnership? Right now, he is bringing healing energy. So this is sort of like Reiki. You see the light where she is healing the other in the heart chakra. The energy is about he's bringing positive. How I'm reading this card is that he's really bringing some positive energy to the relationship, and that he's also contributing to the healing of the relationship. So where he is right now, and like what he's bringing, who he is in the partnership, is really recognizing that everything is energy. I actually just had this conversation this weekend, interestingly enough, on my trip, that everything is energy. I was talking with somebody about the tarot cards and oracle cards, and explaining that it's simply about reading energies as they are, that it's not the work of the devil or predictive or anything, that it's literally just about learning to read and recognize the energies that are present. So I feel like the divine masculine is starting to get more clear about things that are energy, that he's really understanding that a lot of the things that have happened in his life have been because of energy, the energy that he's putting out there. So he's starting to recognize that the circumstances and the things that have happened in his life, some of them have been his own creation by the energy that he's sending out, by the ways that he's showing up in the world, and starting to recognize that is something that is that he can change, because he has the ability to shift his energies. I also believe that how that's also contributing to what the divine feminine is feeling, in the sense that she's recognizing too. I think that there was, and I know this, that there's been a lot of intense triggering for a lot of feminines recently in the last, really since like December through the current times. There's been a lot of intense energies, a lot of shifts, a lot of things happening. And she's also recognizing that she can feel something and doesn't have to necessarily act on it, that emotions are energy, and that she can, energy and motion, emotion, that she can choose to act on her emotions, or she can choose to let those emotions move through her and not let them control her. So the way that I describe this is that sometimes we let our emotions run us, which is sort of like the tail wagging the dog. And part of this journey is learning how to run our emotions, that we can bear witness to them. We don't deny them. We don't repress them. We don't ignore them. We bear witness to them, non-judgmental witness, and then we move the F on. We don't have to be controlled by what we feel all the time. Okay, so moving on. Where does the partnership come from? So this is interesting because the card that came up is codependency. And so what I'm getting is that right now, as they're growing, as the divine feminine and masculine are growing in their own, who they are, that they're working through this codependence, that both energies right now have a tendency to be codependent. And codependent is a relationship that's based on need, not based on love. Like, I can't live without you. I'm going to make myself so important in your life that you can't possibly leave me. It's not love-based relationship. It's not the divine, unconditional, higher love that we're here to learn. And so right now, the relationship, they're shifting out of this. I really get that they're shifting out of this energy, that they're both, as they're releasing energy and growing and maturing and accelerating in this journey, that they're leaving that behind. They're leaving behind the lower level interpretations of love that many people have, and which can include codependence. So I want to pull a couple of clarifiers for that. I'm going to use the Angel Love deck to get clarifiers. It seems pretty clear to me, but I want to be sure that this is accurate. It feels like they're transcending, that the codependence is actually probably more of a common experience in our society for people in relationships that don't know how to be alone. They don't know how to navigate the waters of their own loneliness, of their own pain. They don't know how to heal themselves. They don't know how to be their own best friend. And so it results in these relationships that tend to be codependent, that tend to be based on lower level energies instead of the higher levels of love. So I really get the sense that right now they're both moving through that pretty swiftly and pretty amazingly, actually. So I've shuffled. I'm going to pull 2 clarifiers. Oh, perfect. Okay. Awesome. Just what I was thinking. The first card that I pulled is Transcendence. So they're rising above that codependence and they're stepping into grace. Grace is that compassion. It's that, grace is an aspect of love. So really what I'm getting from these 3 cards all together is that the relationship was rooted, maybe not rooted, but it started from a place of codependence. There were some codependent aspects from it. So it's really, it's a divine love connection. So it's not starting from a place of codependence. That was a misstatement. But because both of them were in that space of, still had those unhealed wounds, it started to go down a codependent track. And now they're working through rising above that they're transcending the codependence and rising up into grace. That's beautiful. Good work, guys. That's really wonderful. So I'm moving into the next one. Where is the partnership going? And that card is up here. The Goddess of Sensuality. The Goddess of Sensuality, seriously, sensuality is really about it's all about life. Like life, and I think I've probably said this before, but really life, it should be a sensual experience. And by sensual, that doesn't mean, a lot of people hear sensual and they think sexual and they think things like that. But what I'm talking about is feeling and sensing your way through life and enjoying life. So tasting your food, taking time to smell the roses, as cliche as that sounds, truly listening, being present, allowing yourself to see the world and not numbing yourself away from it. So this is also about reclaiming the sensual. Okay, so this is about and sensual in that sense of, for many years we've talked about this, like the patriarchy has really condemned women for being sensual and condemned them for, there's like certain things, if you're the Madonna or you're the whore, there's these dichotomies that have been presented through our society. And a lot of this relationship is about healing a lot of that. It's about shifting that so that she can really step into her full sensual power and be comfortable being a multifaceted sensual woman who is unapologetic in her skin. This is about healing those wounds that we experience through sexual harm. And it's not just women. This is specifically to women who have been exploited or abused or harmed in some way, or the divine feminine. But it's also for the divine masculine, because the divine masculine is also wounded by toxic masculinity and by patriarchy. Don't get it twisted. We're all impacted by it. Men are also impacted in the sense that they're losing touch with their sensuality. Men and divine masculine in particular, because they are not often taught, and up until they're much older, that sex is supposed to be a sensual experience, and it's supposed to be an intimate experience. A lot of men and boys are raised to think of sex as a conquest. And so where this journey is where this connection is headed right now in the near future is about healing some of those wounds. So if you're not in union, then it may be through 5D, your higher selves working these things out. If you are in union, you may have some physical, sexual connections, sensual connections that really bring some deep, deep healing to your soul. So it's a really beautiful card. I love it. So what are the divine feminine's expectations? Let's go ahead and look in this. So this card is one of my favorites, surrender. So she is in a space right now of like surrendering her expectations, literally surrendering her expectations, that she's just kind of like, you know what, I almost drowned this relationship in the ocean of expectations. So I need to chill the F out, back off, and just be with what is and allow what is present to emerge without putting all of my expectations, without putting all of my unmet needs and unmet desires on this other person. I'm just going to chill, surrender to the flow, surrender to the process, and be with what comes. So that's where she is. Her expectations she's really in the process of surrendering her expectations, of letting all that shit go so that she can be free and that the connection can be free. And that is amazing. I love that. Good job, divine feminines, for continuing to surrender. It's not easy, but it's such a part of this journey to be able to surrender and to let go of our expectations and to allow what is to be. That's really such a gift. It really is such a gift to love, that to love somebody, yourself, the world, life as it is, without all the expectations, that you love what's right before you as it is. That's really amazing. It's really good work. What are the divine feminine's fears? Where are you? Inner child. So the divine feminine's fears are, she's afraid. This is not for everybody, so take the message as they resonate. But there is a piece of her that is afraid to face her inner child and to do the inner child healing work. So if you have been avoiding the inner child readings that I've been doing, or if you've been thinking, gosh, I really need to do some of this inner child work, and then you don't do it, examine your resistance, because there's a reason why you're avoiding that. Like, what are your fears? I suspect that some of it is that we know that if we face our inner child, we face that stuff, that's going to bring up some things that we need to heal, that maybe we don't want to heal. Maybe we don't want to touch those old pains. And I totally get it, but it's necessary. It's necessary to do that work so that you can move on and move closer toward union, move closer toward yourself, to being the best version of yourself that you can be, to be the embodiment of divine love. So the divine feminine is avoiding, her fears are facing her inner child, and she's avoiding it. There may also be some of you that are concerned about, excuse me, I had to take a drink. Maybe your divine masculine is avoiding his inner child. He's avoiding facing that stuff, and you know that until he does that, that there's going to be some difficulty in the union moving forward too as well. So that's what the divine feminine fears. It's either facing her own inner child or a fear that her divine masculine isn't going to face his, and then it's going to keep the connection stuck. So excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit parched and travel weird. So anyway, just bear with me. So what does the divine feminine contribute to the partnership? And the card that came up was abandonment. So right now, what the divine feminine is doing is subconsciously, at least, or unconsciously, is bringing her fears of abandonment to the union. So she's afraid of being abandoned. She has an abandonment wound, and maybe that's the stuff that she's not wanting to face. And she's bringing that into the relationship. So what I'm getting from that is that sense of people that have an abandonment wound tend to do either one of two things. It's either this like overly clingy, like please don't leave me, I can't live without you kind of energy, which is repellent because nobody wants to be like, that it's not a good energy. She either does that, or she brings in the opposite side, which is I will leave you before you leave me. And so she retreats really fast, or she vacillates between both. In psychology, we call that an ambivalent attachment style. So she's doing this ambivalent attachment where she could be alternating between the terror of her divine masculine leaving, and then clinging, and then retreating, and clinging and retreating, and just kind of up and down roller coaster. So that's the energy that she's bringing in, which is why that inner child work really needs to be done. Really do that work, because when you're in that energy, even if you're not acting it out, remember this, like everything is energy. We talked about this with this card up here. Everything is energy. So even if you're not consciously acting it out, but it's in your energy field, your divine masculine is going to know it. He's going to pick it up. He's going to pick up on it, and he's going to be able to sense like that something's off and something's going on, and he may respond to that. So that's what she's bringing. I'm going to pull a couple clarifiers just to see if there's any other messages that want to come through. Again, from the Angel Love deck. And so here's what came through. The first card was appreciation, and the next card was devotion. And so what I'm getting from this with the abandonment, appreciation, and devotion is that part of how she can work through her some of this abandonment stuff is by appreciating who she is and where she is and the journey that she's been on so far. I'm also appreciating the fact that even with the ups and downs and roller coaster that she may have been on emotionally because of this abandonment wound, really appreciating the fact that the divine masculine hasn't completely bailed, that he's still there. Appreciate that for herself too. Appreciate the fact that she's willing to look and that she's willing to do the work. And the other piece, the other part that comes up, and this is what I'm picking up from this card, is that healing is going to require a certain level of devotion to the healing. It doesn't, I was talking about this before, and healing is not a one-stop shop. It's not like you go to therapy for a week and then you're like suddenly better. It's not like you do energy work or you meditate for a couple of days and things are suddenly okay. This work requires this healing, the level of healing, the depth of healing that you have to go to sustain this kind of connection really requires an intense devotion to continually transcending and continually doing the work and continuing to dig in deep. And that's really, that's what this card is saying. It's like you have what it takes. You appreciate yourself for how far you've come. Like, don't look at how far you have to go. Look at how far you've come, because you have come a long way, baby. But continue to be devoted to that process, and understand too, this is the other message that's coming through with this, is that even though it may not feel like it, because the connection may feel unstable, it may feel uncertain right now, even though it may not feel like it, your divine masculine is completely devoted to you. And rest in that knowledge, okay? Even though you are totally fearful of abandonment, recognize that energetically in his heart and soul, the divine masculine is completely devoted to his divine feminine. Regardless of what the current life circumstances are, he is devoted to you. completely. I'm sitting here thinking of that song from Greece, hopelessly devoted to you. That's how he is. Or the divine masculine. I say he, but remember, he can be she can be he. And so moving on to the next card is, what does the divine feminine lack in the partnership? What is she not contributing? Which is an interesting question, right? What is she not contributing? And I'm going to open up the book because I'm still relatively new. I've only been working with these cards for a little bit now, so I want to make sure I have the best interpretation. So anyway, what does the divine feminine lack in the partnership, or what is she not contributing or giving enough of? Well, Ganesha is the remover of obstacles. So interesting. Okay, so let me read this to you because I think it's really important. I am known as the remover of obstacles, but what is not always understood about me is the way that I do this by putting an obstacle across your path. This may seem counterproductive for me to place what feels like a barrier in your way, but this helps you dig up the original obstacle, the wound. So what this card is about is like, what is she lacking in the partnership? She's not doing enough. She's not doing her work to remove the obstacles. She's not digging in deep enough to do the healing that she needs to do. So she's not contributing the level of work that needs to be done. So what I'm saying is that, like, I know, we all know when we're not giving it 110%, right? We know when we're kind of skating by. If your meditations are half-assed, if you're not following through with your visualizations, all of those things. And so this is for some of you that you're like, okay, this is a call from the universe. And the universe is like, hey, sister, get your shit together. Like, you can do this. You can move this boulder out of your way. You can heal these wounds. You can do this. You just have to be willing to dig in and do it. The card goes on to say, situations that you encounter are often a way of triggering a core wound that has been with you a long time that urgently needs to be addressed. It needs to be removed so you can flourish and thrive. This is the true purpose of what is known in your language and time as the law of attraction. So what she's not bringing is that she's not bringing her A game to her healing process. The divine feminine really can step it up a notch and really dig in and face the hard shit and do the hard stuff that she's been avoiding in order to move this connection forward. And in order to do her own healing, I mean, really, because it comes down to, like, regardless of what's going on with the connection, trust me, doing your own healing, it's not always fun. I mean, it's not fun at all, period. It's like, it's painful. It hurts to uproot that stuff. But you know what? Once you do it and you're free, it feels freaking amazing. So, stop being the only thing standing in your own way is what I'm getting from this card. So, moving on to the next position. What are the expectations of the divine masculine? And he got the boundaries card. So this is really interesting. Wow, what just came through really strong is that the divine masculine is in many ways, this is not for everybody, this is for some of you, is a charmer, right? It's a very charming type of personality, somebody who is just really engaging, really magnetic, and has been able to use that magnetism, maybe their good looks, their charisma, their charm, to get what they want. And to get what they want without really being held accountable for the consequences for others or the ways in which their behavior is less than ideal. And what he's expecting, and really what he wants, is for his divine feminine to say, nope, I am not going to enable your complacency. I'm not going to enable your bad behavior. So if you're going to if you want to be with me, then you're going to have to step your game up. You're going to have to be a better human. Like, I'm not going to participate if you're manipulating or if you're lying or if you're being dishonest. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hold you to a higher standard because I see the God in you, and that's what I'm calling to. I'm going to speak to the King in you. I'm going to speak to the divine in you, and I'm going to hold you to that standard because that's what you need to transcend. And even if he chooses, the divine masculine chooses not to transcend and chooses not to move beyond that and chooses to continue in those old karmic cycles, well, that's fine, because you know what? Then the divine feminine's self-respect and integrity is intact, and she's going to feel good about that. Like, I love this person, but I love myself more. So that's really what he's expecting. He is expecting, whether you've done it so far or whether it's coming up, he expects at some point for you to say, enough is enough. I'm not going to put up with this shit anymore. You're going to have to, get it together if you want to be a part of my life. And he expects that, and he's waiting in many ways. It's like his soul is waiting for you to say, I'm not doing this with you in this way anymore, so that he can step up to the plate. So this is really great. This is actually a really good card, as strange as that might sound. So the next position is what he fears. And so this is the grief and anger card. So what he fears is, I get two things. He fears facing his grief and anger. I feel like there's a lot of divine masculines out there who have really shoved their feelings down. Excuse me, I had to get another drink. They have not felt their feelings. They've not engaged with their feelings. They've not really embraced their feelings, because feelings suck, right? It's not fun. And plus, as a masculine, you think about the wounding of the masculine in our society. What is the message that little boys get from very early? Suck it up. Boys don't cry. Man up. Don't be a sissy. All of those things. So feeling is just not welcome in the masculine experience. And so he has a lot of grief and anger that he just hasn't faced, because he's stuffed down and avoided it for a long time. And he is also afraid that there's also a fear that he has of losing you and feeling grief around that too. So there's that sense that of losing his divine feminine. So it's sort of like a double-edged sword right now, that he's feeling a lot of grief and anger that's coming up from the past that he hasn't dealt with. And there's a part of him that's afraid of losing his divine feminine and experiencing grief and anger because of that, and experiencing, what if I give my all? What if I take a chance and give her everything, and then she leaves me anyway, and then I'm stuck with nothing, and then I'd be mad and heartbroken and all of that. So those are the fears that he's experiencing. I feel like I want to pull a couple clarifiers for that. And I'm going to use the Romance Angels. Excuse me. So I've been, like I said, I was traveling and then in a conference in a hotel. So I've been having all this forced air, and traveling across the country has made me a little bit parched. So just bear with me. Okay. So here's the two cards that I pulled for his fears as clarifiers. Remember, we pulled the grief and anger. The first one I pulled is, this could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner you desire and let go of control issues. So part of where he is right now is also in that surrender space that the divine feminine is in, is that he has recognized, like, this is the one, this is the woman that the divine feminine that I've been waiting for. It's funny because the quote that just came up, and I think it came up from one of them, this movie again last week, was Fools Rush In, and he says, "You're everything I never knew I always wanted." And that's where the divine masculine is right now, is he's having this sense of he had this idea of what he wanted. He had this idea of what kind of partner he wanted to have in his life, what kind of wife he wanted to have. And then over time just kind of was like, I don't think that that's real. That kind of woman doesn't exist. It's like a unicorn or whatever. And so he kind of let that idea go. And because of that, because he's like, well, that's not really real. Maybe true love isn't real. Maybe it's not for me. He has settled. He's settled and he's compromised, and he's done a lot of shit that he's not really happy about, that he's not proud of, which is also triggering some of that grief and anger. So he met this divine feminine, and he met her, and she's everything that he never knew he always wanted, or he didn't believe was possible. And suddenly it's causing him to examine his life, the choices that he's made, the bad choices that he's made, the ways in which he feels stuck. And he's feeling a lot of grief around that, a lot of grief around wasted time. And he feels some anger also about the wasted time, the ways in which he's been manipulated and allowed himself to be manipulated into even the things that he's done to others. But part of that is the next card that comes up is that he needs to let go of control issues. So his thing is also about surrendering. Like right now, I feel like the divine masculine is really trying to control and manage things, and he's trying to understand things that really are difficult to understand, if not, impossible to understand sometimes, right? It's like you just have to go with faith and you have to trust. And he's having a really hard time with that. He's like, I know this is the one. I know she is. Like, I know it because I feel it. It's like I've never been more sure of anything in my life. And yet I have all these other things that are happening, all these other things that are going on. And so he's trying to reason his way into a heart answer. And then you don't get to the heart through the brain, through reason. It's just not those things. Not that they're mutually exclusive, but you don't reason your way through the heart, through heart issues. You just don't. So he needs to work on letting go of control issues. That's where he is right now. He's afraid to let go. He's afraid to surrender. What does he contribute to the partnership? Balance. It's a great card. It's number 4. He contributes balance. So he is probably pretty level-headed, able to, so I'm getting from this is that he is able to touch into his masculine and feminine energies. I don't get that he's necessarily skilled in it, that he's not super great at navigating between the two, but he can, which is a skill that a lot of people don't have. So he's able to bring some balance, and he's able to move out of his ego and into the higher levels. And so he's really evolving in that sense, really becoming more and more balanced. And as he exhibits more balance, in his energies, it also helps the feminine to feel more balanced in hers. So that's really great card. I'm going to pull a couple clarifiers from one from the Angel Love deck and one from the Romance Angels. I don't know why. I'm just following the prompting of Spirit. Okay, interesting. So look at this. Balance. The first card that we pulled was balance. And the next card was intimacy, and the next one was codependency. So what he's doing right now is he's learning how to balance between intimacy and codependence. Remember we talked about codependence earlier? That's the second time that this card has come up. So it's a really big factor in this relationship right now. So he is learning to navigate between intimacy and codependence. So he has probably had a tendency to be more on the codependent side, and real intimacy, genuine intimacy is somewhat foreign, and so he's learning how to balance that. He's learning how to stay out of the codependence and more in the intimacy, and getting balanced in those energies, getting very much more solid in who he is and how he's relating, where it doesn't have to be this codependent, because codependence tends to lack intimacy because it's based on me, and my. And so he's really in that space of learning. And so what I get is I kind of see him on a, those teeter-totters that kids play with in the playground. On one side it's codependence, on one side it's intimacy. And he's kind of bouncing back up and down and back and forth. I'm not really sure. But he's learning the nuance. He's learning the subtle differences between what is codependence and what is intimacy. And he's getting more and more stable as he goes. That's really great. And what does he lack in the partnership? It's interesting because what the feminine was lacking was the masculine energy, and what the masculine is lacking is the feminine energy. So there's some balancing that needs to be done there too. Okay, so she may be too much in her. There just needs to be some balance between the two. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So this is the Mary Magdalene card. Goddess of strength. This is what the masculine is lacking right now. And okay. Women are innately strong, but are also designed to have times of introspection. In your time, many women have learned to be pillars of strength, never faltering in their resolve, moving forward day after day, never feeling safe to let down their guard, to take a moment of solace, to soften and ease into the natural goddess cycles. So this is, he's overworking. This is talking about returning to work shortly after losing a loved one, no downtime, working jobs that are soul crushing, not having passion, not attending to your inner needs, and lacking the strength that it takes to feel deeply. And do you guys remember what he fears is the grief and anger? So he's afraid to feel those deep emotions because he's lacking the strength. He doesn't feel like he has the strength to go there. It's a sense of Pandora's box. If I open this pain that I feel, it's just going to unleash everything, and then what's left? Do I have the strength to deal with it? Do I have the strength to face it? Those are the questions that he's asking himself right now. He's feeling like he is lacking in that, or he's perceiving that he lacks in that. He doesn't understand that he actually does have the strength. But he is on the forefront. Really, what this is coming through is that he's really about to shift that. That he's kind of been, what the image that's coming up for me is a kid that's standing on the edge of a diving board. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but just visualize with me a child who hasn't jumped off a diving board yet. And you get to the end of the diving board and it looks like, oh my God, that's so far down, and like I'm gonna die, and all of those big fears, right, that come up whenever you're in that situation. And then I've seen this happen where kids will do this. My own kids did it, and they stand out there for a while and then like muster up their strength and then jump, and then they discover, of course, that the fall wasn't that bad, and their anticipation of it was way worse than the reality. And that's what's happening with the masculine. Like he's standing on the edge of the diving board right now, about to dive into all this old stuff that he hasn't been facing, and he's a little bit terrified. He's a little bit afraid. He's afraid of the emotions. He's afraid of what he's going to feel. He's afraid of what he's going to find. But he's getting closer to the edge and he's ready to jump. So good for him. That's super exciting. So what is the advice for the divine feminine? I'm going to use the romance angels for this. Spirit, what is the advice for the divine feminine? Spirit, please, what is the advice? What is your advice for the divine feminine this week? Cool. Wonderful. Give your relationship a chance. So there may be some of you, as I mentioned earlier, with that abandonment stuff that comes up, that you might retreat, and you may be in a space of retreating and kind of thinking like, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore. This is hard. I'm not sure what the heck is going on. But this card, the romance angels are saying, give your relationship a chance. Work on it. Do your work and work on the partnership. Spirit, what's the advice for the divine masculine for this week? Spirit, what's the advice for the divine masculine? Trust. The situation is calling for you to have faith. Well, it's interesting because I was just talking about that sense of being on the edge of the diving board, and that's trust, right? It's a leap of faith. Jumping off the diving board the first time is a leap of faith, and the universe is asking the divine masculine to trust, to have faith, to believe in the goodness of the universe, and to believe that the universe has his back and that everything is going to work out. So that's a beautiful message. So I want to pull some cards for the forecast for this week. Like, what is the relationship forecast? So we've looked at the energies, we've looked at all of that. So what's likely to happen this week between the divine masculine, divine feminine? I'm going to use the Love Angels cards for this one. Oh, the first card, love. Love is in the air, y'all. Love is in the air. Purity, pure love. Are you kidding me right now? Could this be any more beautiful? And awareness. Oh my gosh, you guys. Seriously, this is so exciting. Love, purity, and awareness. Like literally oh my God, I think I want to cry. What I'm getting from this, you guys, is that this awareness of this pure love, like it's gonna, I just get this sense that it's like something is gonna shift and it's gonna just hit for both of you, that all the doubts, all the fears, all the questions that you've been having are just gonna kind of dissipate, and you're gonna be like, you know what, this is it. Like, I know this is it. I know this is real. No more questions, no more doubts. I trust this. And you're going to feel the pure love coming through. I'm also getting from this one, for those who have divine partners who are not aware of the connection, that of the meaning of the connection. So like maybe they've never heard of twin flames, or maybe they've never heard of soulmates, or maybe that's different language and they've never really explored that. What I'm getting is that for some of those partners that are in that position, that their divine counterpart is going to become aware. So they're going to see something that's going to prompt them to look into it. You know, they're going to hear the term twin flame, or they're going to read something about a soulmate or something, and it's going to trigger that, and they're going to start looking, and they're going to be like, oh my God, is this what I'm experiencing? So I get that some of them that are not aware yet of this connection are going to become aware of it, but I really get this sense of just pure love coming through. Oh, this is a beautiful reading, guys. So thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, you can hit me up on Instant Go. It's instantgo.com/askdrv. You can also look for my different readings in my Etsy shop. I haven't updated everything yet, so it's not totally current. But if you want to reach out to me via email, it's in the link below. If you want to support this channel financially, then please feel free to do that. The PayPal link is below. And you can also connect with me via Facebook, on Twitter, and maybe I think I have Instagram on there as well. But anyway, thanks so much for being here. I hope this reading resonated. Please comment. Let me know if it did. Let me know if you have any questions. And I look forward to seeing you back here again soon. Take care.